Hi guys, it's Tasha from Yagi's Dog Training and Behaviour Services. I want to talk today about the way that people speak to other people concerning their relationships with their dogs. For some reason, people think that they are automatically qualified in teaching people about dogs because they watch a TV show or they was brought up a certain way or they've had dogs all their lives. There just seems to be this thing recently where if you have a reactive dog, it's your fault because you're nervous or you have anxiety, and that's not the case at all. Most people don't realise the dog's background, where the dog's come from, what's happened to the dog. There's so many different reasons that a dog can be reactive, and blaming an owner who has anxiety is not the right thing to do, nor in most cases will you be correct. I work with lots of people with anxiety. Some have reactive dogs, some don't. It's not down to the owner who's caused your activity unless the owner is abusive or put that dog in a crappy situation, which 9 times out of 10 is just not the case at all. And it's not fair for people to keep judging other people. In the dog training industry, it can be very divided because people are close-minded. Positive trainers tend to stick together, balanced trainers try to stick together, and it's like this whole war going on. But beyond that, just with lay people, and I'll keep this video in lay people terms, the way that people accuse each other and the way that they blame and they create this blame nation, it's just not fair at all. I went for 5-6 years without having a dog. Still worked with dogs, but just didn't have a dog. I didn't feel I was good enough to have a dog, and mostly because of my anxiety, I didn't feel like I was good enough to have a dog. So I was working with dogs, went to the seminar, and it was a seminar for protection, which again is another thing which is massively understood, but that's a different topic. And the guy heading up the seminar spoke to me on the lunch break, and he said, "I can see what you can do. What kind of dog do you have?" And I was like, "I don't have a dog." And he said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Well, because I'm in a flat that doesn't allow pets." And he said, and he smiled and he said, "So why don't you find somewhere that allows you to have a dog?" And then it came out obviously about my anxiety, and I didn't think it'd be fair to have a dog, and about the impact that my behaviour could have on a dog because I have anxiety. And he said it's absolute nonsense, and he said for me to get a dog, he says when I left that day I had to go find somewhere to live where I could have a dog. And he said you having anxiety will not affect the dog at all. And he says, watching you with these dogs, he said, you know, you're brilliant. He said, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a dog. And he said, and you're actually teaching people without realising it. It wasn't my place to teach at this place. It was literally a seminar. And yeah, we got involved in everything, but I didn't realise what I was doing at the time. So after that, I ended up getting Diesel. Diesel's not reactive at all. Diesel doesn't require a lead. Diesel's not phased, so if I'm anxious, he's not phased at all. He doesn't try to protect me from people. He doesn't try to protect me from other dogs, so that is absolute nonsense. Diesel's good with other dogs, he's good with people, he's brilliant with people. He picks up on their emotions and he will deliberately try and make friends with them, and not in a forceful way, but he'll just make his presence known in a very gentle way. So Diesel demonstrates that straight away. The same with Coda. She doesn't pick up on my anxiety at all. She's not bothered by other dogs, which you can see in videos, the same with Diesel. And she loves people. So again, 2 dogs that I've had since puppies and I have anxiety, and neither of them are reactive in any shape or form. So that in itself is testament that people need to stop saying to people, "Oh, your dog's reactive because you're anxious." It doesn't work that way. And there can be so many reasons that a dog is anxious. Most people I speak to who have got a reactive dog and they've had it since puppy, did you see mum and dad? Well, we saw mum. Did you see dad? No. So that straight away can have an effect on that dog's behaviour. We haven't seen dad, we don't know what dad's like, we don't know his traits. So that straight away has an impact. And then I've worked with clients who, on the first time I met them, they've sobbed their hearts out because people have blamed them for their dog's behaviour. And they don't feel like they're worthy to have a dog, and should they rehome the dog? And nobody should be in that position where they're thinking of rehoming the dog because of what some people have said to them, especially these people that aren't qualified. They have no right in saying this to them. And then, so if you look at social media and you'll see posts about children that get bullied, and you'll automatically see everyone jumping on it saying that this isn't right and it has to stop. But what about the adults that get bullied? You know, what support system is in place for adults that get bullied? And especially when it comes down to dogs, because more and more adults I'm finding out get bullied or targeted by other adults. So these adults will make a comment to an owner who will then go home in front of tears and then be ashamed of having their dog and feel like they've done wrong by their dog. So this said person has gone home, doesn't care, is watching Joe McCann and all that kind of rubbish, whilst this person has focused so hard on what this person has said to them, and this person is absolutely clueless as to what they've done. The other thing you see on Facebook is these stupid copy and share posts about my door is always open and the kettle's always on. But that's not true in most cases, because if that was true, we'd have this society instead where people aren't made to feel like crap in the first place. These people that are making these comments and sharing these statuses, going home, they couldn't care less what they've done to this person. And then people say about mental health, suicide prevention. Dr. Sophie Yin killed herself. Cesar Millan, whatever you think about him, whether you're a positive trainer or not, Cesar Millan tried to kill himself a few years ago as well. But what support is in place for these people, and what about the lay people who aren't sensationalised, who aren't famous? What support is out there for them? You know, people have to get their own counselling, but first they have to recognise that they are depressed, that something is wrong, that they have anxiety, and then it's being brave enough to make that step to get counselling. So if you get counselling and you have, for example, CBT therapy, and the counsellor is working with you to change your perceptions on how you feel about certain things, emotions and triggers, and then this person comes along and makes a throwaway comment which absolutely floors the said person, how are they going to progress forward? It's the same as taking a dog out, you've been rehabilitating with reactivity, who then gets attacked by another dog, so you're going to go backwards again, and that human is going to go backwards again. And it needs to stop. It doesn't matter if you're a positive trainer, if you're a balanced trainer, if you're a lay person, it has to stop. And you need to leave it down to the professionals who are qualified and who know what they're doing to help these people and to make these judgments. For example, the German Shepherd that I worked with last week, some people were great and some people weren't great. Some people accused me of using a choker on her, which was just absolutely ridiculous. It was a head halter. She was using a head halter because she dislocated her owner's shoulder, and she was a protection dog. So most people don't want to try and rehabilitate a protection dog. I have worked with lots of protection dogs and rehabilitated them so that they can go out safely, because most owners who pick these dogs up from rescue live up in built-up areas. It is unavoidable to take these dogs for a walk in a built-up area. I know lots of people that would automatically recommend the dog put to sleep, and this is professionals as well. Whereas I disagree, and I've seen the other side to the dog's behaviour. Some people have agreed with me on the post about it as well. And blaming the owners is just wrong. It's just straight up wrong. Saying that they've done anything wrong is wrong. Quite a few of the dogs I've worked with, they found out afterwards when they've adopted a dog and started to bond with the dog that the dog was used as a protection dog. You don't get to blame the owners. Just leave it down to the professionals who know what they're doing with these dogs and are comfortable working with these dogs, and the owners. Because dog trainers and behaviourists don't just have to work with the dog, they have to be supportive of the owners as well. We listen to how owners are embarrassed about their dog's behaviour, how people make comments in the street at them, and how it makes them feel inside. It's not fair. It's just totally unfair to put another person in that position. And sure, it might be annoying that you're walking down the street and then an owner's got a dog that's barking at your dog. But instead of making comments, you could just say hi or good morning from across the street, and just respect that they might actually be in training with that dog, that they're trying their best with that dog rather than putting them down. And the other thing as well is people with anxiety, I found, and also through qualifying and being a behaviourist, we have to analyse the owner's behaviour. So what we tend to find is that the owners who are extrovert and care what people think, especially in public, are owners who are going to struggle to train their dogs. Your more anxious owners who seem to get picked on and the ones who end up very sad are the ones who's going to make massive leaps and progress with their dog's training. Because anxious people are always stupidly aware of what's going on around them. Are they being judged? Are they doing things the right way? You're even a little bit OCD when you have anxiety, because you just don't want to muck up and give anyone an excuse to belittle you in public. It has got to stop. If you don't know anything about dog training, or you don't know anything about the dog in front of you, you don't know how to progress or go forward, you've got to refer on to somebody else. If you're a lay person and you're making assumptions about a person, how about channel all of that energy that you're throwing at that person into sitting down with them and going onto the internet and then looking and researching for a dog trainer that will suit them, that on that website the dog trainer leaps out at them, that they feel an automatic connection with. You could channel that energy instead in helping people, rather than making their lives miserable and rather than making them feel judged. Like I said, it's not okay for kids to get bullied, but it's okay for adults to get bullied, and it's hypocrisy of, these copy and paste statuses. Instead of all that gubbins, and you'll never see me share anything like that. Help people, be proactive, listen to somebody. If someone's struggling, listen to them. Help people, and don't just do it via social media. And stop judging people and stop judging their dogs. And again, especially if you're a layperson, stop it. Think about how you would feel. Sure, you might be confident, you might be extrovert, nothing might faze you. I'm brilliant, more power to you, you're so lucky. But for people who aren't built like you, anxiety can be massively debilitating. And on a good day, you're still not going to feel amazing. And just because you might see that this person smiles and seems to interact normally, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know how that person's feeling once you've shoved your opinion onto them. And that's not fair. And again, I'll go back and say Coda and Diesel are not reactive, and I have anxiety. So if I have 2 dogs which are solid, and I also successfully train dogs, and my anxiety doesn't affect the dogs that I train, then stop blaming people who have anxiety for their dog's behaviour, and start asking, how can I help you, rather than judging them and making them feel this big, because that's not helping, and all you're doing is really hurting somebody and really upsetting somebody, and then that person's dog in some cases can then be at risk of either being put to sleep or going into rescue because of your misinformed opinion, and that's not fair. And there is so many things that trainers and behaviourists can do to help a dog, to change a dog's behaviour entirely, and what you should be doing instead is reaching out to dog trainers and behaviourists so that the dog behaviour can be sorted properly, and so that it's going to be sorted so that it doesn't ever happen again. So like I said, if you take anything away from this video, take away to start helping people. Stop with the copy and pasting, stop with the negative comments, stop with the glaring and the nasty comments in the street, and start helping people in a proactive way. And it's going to feel so much better helping somebody proactively than it's going to make you feel in 10 seconds making someone feel that big. Okay? Happy training.